I mean, we had a guy throw a Twitter fit yesterday because I said that Martinez Rankin blocked Myles Garrett too. Man, is that guy desperate for attention?
While he was hobbled as well. Let's get that together.
Unbelievable. Is that another Clay and Ledger headline?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how it's not.
Hail State beats up A&M physically to allow Ole Miss to grab road win.
Crap sandwich.
The Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. We're streaming on thezone1059.com. You can download the Out of Bounds radio app. You can watch the show. Check out our new studio. I've already got the helmets up.
Man.
That's unusual. I usually forget on Monday's show.
When did you do that?
I did it earlier this morning. So you can watch us on our Facebook page. We got the video live.
You're on it, man.
I know. You can watch us on our YouTube page, the Out of Bounds Show, or on the Out of Bounds radio app. You can click Watch Live, or you can listen live, whatever you want to do. Listen, watch. Got a picture of the Alabama Crimson Tide celebrating another championship over my left shoulder.
As you should.
And I have the Ole Miss Vandy helmet out as the Rebs go to Nashville.
You have the Savior.
And I have Arkansas and Mississippi State helmets out as the Razorbacks will play in Starkville this weekend.
Is this Vandy's initial appearance on the set?
It is. That's great. That's the first time the Vandy helmet's been on the set. Oh, my gosh. And we've been here for 9 or 10 months. You're right. Maybe they'll earn their way on here during hoop season again. And we're going to have to figure out a way to incorporate the teams during, basketball. I mean, we obviously can't put basketballs up here, but
You can still roll with the football helmets.
Yeah, that's
I guess
fine.
so.
They're universal.
People love the helmets. We had
Yeah.
over 100 people in here Thursday night celebrating our big party with Jay Olive. And if you haven't stopped by Jay Olive, you're missing out. If you love to cook and love to cook on the grill. And so we had over 100 people in studio, cooked a bunch of great food, pulled pork, wings, flatbread, steak kebabs with the J. Olive balsamic vinegar and olive oils. Plus, we had dips. Yes, we had the dark chocolate and butter olive oil mixed for the steak kebabs. People were going nuts.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, it was. That dark chocolate balsamic with the butter olive oil steak kebab was amazing. Ooh. So you know what people love, though? They love the helmets. Did y'all notice what Wendy did with 2 of the helmets over there? Y'all didn't notice, did you?
Neat.
We have 2 over the
usually I'm asleep
over in the bar area. So we have LSU, and it was random. LSU and Kentucky is in the bar area because we needed to, women know how to do this. And so Wendy said, your deal's getting a little too cluttered.
Okay, yeah.
So we had to shift some of the helmets over to the bar area.
I like that.
But we still already have the matchup on the studio set today. So if you want to watch the show, go to our Facebook page. Boom, we've got the live video link right there, or you can find it on the Out of Bounds radio app
It's clear
or on YouTube.
The blue matches the Kentucky blue.
It just looks sharp.
Good,
I've said this. Kentucky has I hate to say this.
Best colors.
Kentucky has the coolest helmet.
No doubt.
I know they're not any good in football. I know they beat Mississippi State, and MSU somehow didn't get a first down against Kentucky, and yet they got multiple first downs against Alabama in the first quarter, and that's with 6 drop passes in the first quarter. I'm not first quarter, sorry, first half. But they did get first downs in the first quarter, and I wasn't even sure MSU would do that. The Out of Bounds Show is brought to you by the New York Strip at Shapley's Steakhouse in Ridgeland. Visit shapleysrestaurant.com to make a reservation. We have some hot takes and some hot garbage today.
Hot take.
Hot take is, my hot take is, what about Dak Prescott?
Hey.
319 yards, 2 TDs on the road. Shea Patterson, over 330, 23 points in the fourth quarter against A&M. What about the quarterbacks? One that played at Mississippi State, one that's a true freshman who was compared to Johnny Manziel, and he said that was his favorite player growing up.
Johnny football.
Johnny Football, and we went with shirtless Shay last week, and we nailed it. Nobody got it. Other shows, newspaper. Of course, newspaper's asleep. But we went with shirtless Shay last week. Is Shaysman?
Scheisman?
Scheisman. Scheisman?
It'd be Scheisman there. I'm wondering where we need. We have to come up with another one.
Now,
What
Drew
does it
had
need to
one
be?
early. What?
Shut down Shay.
Shut down Shay.
How old does that make you feel when he said growing up, his favorite player is Johnny Manziel?
That's
That
not
was like
cool.
4 years ago.
Yeah, but I guess that happens when you're 14 and Manziel, think about
Right.
that's a big deal from 14 to 19 where Shay is today. When you're 14, you still have posters on the wall, stuff like that. I mean, I had Cindy Moncrief, Dr. J, Isaiah Thomas, so on. I just dated myself. But then again, I turned 64 last week, so that's what you do. Patterson, Manziel as his, not idol. What did he say? That's who he looked up to.
Yeah.
His favorite player.
Favorite player. I don't. That doesn't surprise me. I mean, what Johnny Manziel did in 2012. I think it was 12 when he
12
beat
was his
Bama.
Heisman year. Yeah.
Oh, it was 11.
Right.
No, 12 was his Heisman year, and then
Okay.
13 was the year after.
All right, 12 when he beat Bama at Bryant-Denny, and they went 11-2, and then beat Oklahoma by like 19 touchdowns in the Cotton Bowl. Had we had the college football playoff then, that would have been amazing to see A&M get in, and A&M play one of the big boy teams because Oklahoma was not that year. That year, I don't remember who Bama beat Notre Dame.
Yes.
A&M would
Yeah,
have
they
smoked Notre Dame the way they were playing down the stretch.
We do have a few tweets on the Twitter feed
Yeah.
talking about Shay's nickname. We got William Fincher tweets to us, Shay Nene. There's
Ooh,
one.
I like that.
Sassy Sloth tweets to us, Sassy Shay.
Woo.
And this is my favorite so far. Jay Kilpatrick tweets to us, Big Play Shay.
I like it.
Big Play Shay's got a good ring to it. The Shavier is there.
I did have a buddy walking out of the stadium saying Shay Bay Bay.
Hey, I like it.
I like these coming in. Twitter handle @BoBounds. All right. We need some nicknames for Shay.
Hot garbage?
We'll make that the hot garbage. Nicknames for Shay
Garbage.
is hot garbage. And then the poll question before I go to the phones, Drew, is what?
Who is the third best team in the SEC? Auburn leads the poll big time right now.
Do you know?
Is it?
Do you realize where you've got Alabama 1 and LSU 2. What do you do at 3? 3 through 14, I tweeted out today, is not even worth ranking.
It's not.
That's disappointing to me. I love SEC.
It's down.
It is. We still have the best athletes, okay? Strongest, fastest, most physical. But because LSU is where they are at the QB position, and because Auburn, what they have at the QB position, and A&M, and then Florida is so bad at the quarterback position, where do you go? 3 through 14, especially 4 through 14. Ole Miss should be number 3. Auburn should be number 3. A&M should be number 3, or Florida should be number 3 with their personnel and talent profile, yet none of them in a year where you could have really gone and gotten it, considering the league and how it's shaped up. All those teams right there are sitting there going, how in the world have we lost as many games as we've lost? But we do know that Ole Miss is the best 5-5 team in the country,
No doubt. Oh, by far.
according to Hugh Kellenberger.
Right.
That should be the first question asked today. Who's the best 5-5 team in the country? It is the Shavier
The Shavier.
and Ole Miss. Great one by John. Let's go to the phones. Do we have Chase?
We have John.
We have John? All right, I need a hot take. John, what do you have for me today? What's up, buddy?
Oh, I got a good one for you. Oh,
Okay.
All right. All the way with Shay. It'll be printed all over T-shirts.
Hey.
It'll be on bumper stickers, on the back of cars, on the cover of Lindy's, Athlon, Sports Illustrated, ESPN, the magazine. It'll be everything next
I like
year.
it.
But before we get too excited, Let's remember how great Nick Fitzgerald looked the previous week against that same defense. Okay? The kid can play. I'm not saying Shea Patterson's not good, and I'm a State fan, so the glasses are a little bit maroon this morning. The kid can play. He did it on the road. Okay? But let's not forget Nick Fitzgerald put up almost 375 total yards against the same defense. So we're not talking about Alabama's, staunch front seven here. 2, when he goes on the road next week, he plays a team with a much better D than what he has just seen, and a team that now has a game film on him. That makes a huge difference. That makes a huge, huge point that they're going to now be able to plan a little bit for him. I need to see one more week of what he does against that defense on the road. Now, what he does in Egg Bowl doesn't matter because I could throw for 300 on State. That's not hard to do. But whatever he does against Vandy, to me, is going to show me a lot more of what his potential is because that's a better test to me. And the last thing I did have an Ole Miss friend that said the Cowboys are actually just waiting for Romo to be healthy so they can move Prescott back to his natural position of tight end. And he'll actually be able to then play to his potential at the position that all the Ole Miss people thought, he really belongs at in the NFL.
Hey, thanks for the call. Take one more or take a break. All right, we'll stay on the C Spire iPhone 7 phone line, 601-707-3750, powered by C Spire's iPhone 7 on their Max Range LTE network. Chase, what do you have for me, buddy?
Not much, man. Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm good.
Hot take.
I'm good.
Good stuff, man. I have a few things to say real quick. I would like to compliment LSU. Everybody thought, even including myself, that after the Bama game, they'd be beat up. They'd come out, and I actually thought Arkansas would beat them. LSU and Coach O did a much better job than Sumlin did after they played Bama, because obviously Sumlin got beat by Mississippi State, and we saw what State really was against Bama on Saturday. They're improving, and that's great, whatever. But at the end of the day, the Rick and Sumlin thing that is a great comparison. They both start the first 2 months looking like, two of the best teams in the country, and it seems like they always end up playing Bama or someone like Bama, and I don't think Sumlin's able to rally the troops. Now, Coach O did rally the troops, so you got to give the man some props for that. I do want to give a shout-out to Hurts. I know he was going against the 104th best passing defense in the country, but he was
104th.
That's an actual fact, actually. Before the game started, they were ranked that. But
And now they're worse.
Yeah, exactly. But he's the only Alabama player to ever run for 100 yards and to pass for 300 yards, and he had 5 total touchdowns. Bama has been winning in spite of him. As you keep mentioning, it seems like Lane's kind of giving him the keys, trying to let him throw the ball around some, and maybe he can start being, the main reason to start winning. Because Ridley, Stewart, Howard, we've got too many weapons to not be passing the ball better than we have. I've been critical of him all year.
Chase, look, I'm sorry. I appreciate the call, and I get where you're going. Bama treated that as a scrimmage, and they worked on their passing game on Saturday. All right, straight ahead, Rick Sumlin comparison, more on Shea Patterson. And Vegas had it wrong when it comes to Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Those Handmade Vodka crew, they had some great food there. The bruschetta, shrimp kebabs were great.
Good looking girl.
It's a super place to watch the game. Yes, there was.
Some lookers.
You and your buddies were pumped up about that.
Yeah, we were. Look, I'm telling you, I'm right here. I know you. The majority of the time I'm wrong, but except in my mind, I'm usually always right. The line moved in 10 minutes, man.
Tell me about it. What happened?
Opened up 11-13.
Tell me the game.
3:58. We're talking Ole Miss and we're talking Vandy.
Okay.
Here. The line opened at 8 yesterday at 3:58 p.m. By 4:08 p.m., that line had jumped a point and a half. And we've talked before about how much money it has to come in to move a line half a point. And Sterling told us it'd probably be around $500,000 to move it half a point. It's $1 million a point.
That doesn't surprise me.
So you're talking.
We talked about it
1.5.
earlier. Drew was surprised it was -8 Ole Miss. And I said right when I heard that, I said, well, it'll be at 10 before we know it.
Yeah, I didn't know that it would jump that.
Boom,
high.
it's jumped a 1.5.
It jumped a point and a half in 10 minutes yesterday. At 4:08 p.m., it came back at 9.5.
Goodness gracious.
Which, I mean, you say it all the time. If you're going to gamble smartly, you always catch the line on Sunday.
Sure you do.
And that is your
Most of the time.
That is your perfect example why. 1.5 points is a lot in gambling. And,
Oh, what about-
and that's going to get up to 10. You're right.
It will. What about Arkansas MSU? So pick 'em.
It is currently Arkansas is -1 right now, according to what I have on ESPN.
Drew?
Looking at Vandy's schedule, I don't know that they faced any team with any kind of receiving threat like Ole Miss will put out against them.
Not many teams have, though.
Well, I mean, in the West,
they
in the
haven't.
West, you can face a Bama or
that's
A&M
a good point.
or LSU, but when you play in the East, you don't
Mississippi
face.
State.
They haven't faced any team with receivers. Or Florida has some, but they can't get them the ball.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
that doesn't count. You make a good point. There's nothing there.
We talk about. Or
Ole
I
Miss
bring this
is
up.
filthy at the receiving position. I mean, we talked about the unit all spring and summer, but goodness gracious.
I like to bring up the number fire deal.
Is Stringfellow
that's on
going to
ESPN.
stay? It's going to be interesting to watch. Go ahead. What?
You know how I do like to bring up the number fire thing where they on ESPN where they combine, past records with past teams and they compare Mississippi State and Arkansas to teams from this year.
Yeah?
Number fire, their picks for this weekend are State money line, and they're taking State in the spread. They think they got State to win outright. And if you look at the past matchups, it's pretty much split with their similar teams. It's Arkansas State. I mean,
They're one possession games.
this is going to be a one possession game.
3 years ago, overtime, one possession game. 2 years ago, 17-10, one possession
Right.
game. Last year, Mississippi State scores late, blocks a field goal, wins by 1 point.
Yeah,
Because the
right
field
on,
goal
yeah.
would win it, right?
Right,
Or it was
yeah.
1 or 2 points. I don't remember. So it's been one possession, 3 straight years, and Mullen has been fortunate to be on the winning side over Bielema.
Right. I mean,
He's 3-0 against Bielema.
how many games has State had this year to come down to the last play of the game?
South Alabama,
Kentucky.
BYU, and Kentucky.
Okay. Had those 3 going the other way, and this one goes the other way, man, that season. This season will be defined by 5 to 6 individual plays that were swing plays. And if they just swung the right direction, you're talking about a 8-4 season instead of what they're looking at.
Yeah, and I think you make a good point. I think this season is defined by Mullen and the offensive staff doing about as poor a job as you possibly can, not playing the best players. And here's what I mean by that. Nick Fitzgerald is by far and away the best quarterback on their team. In fact, Nick Fitzgerald, as we've talked about, would start at LSU and he would start at A&M now that Knight's out, and he would start at Auburn, he'd start at Florida, and the list goes on and on. And he's got athletic, he has to improve his accuracy, but he's super athletic, he's fast and all that. If they would have run the football and played the Chris Relf offense, we said this back in March or April,
Right.
well before the season started, with Fitzgerald and Aries Williams, Mullen wouldn't be in this predicament.
No, it wouldn't. They'd have won it. South
Instead, you
Alabama
decided to play Brandon Holloway way too much. You did that quarterback shuffle with Fitz and Damian Williams, and you lost to teams you shouldn't have lost to. Again, how do you explain not getting a first down against Kentucky in the first quarter? Can anybody explain that? And rushing for 182 against Texas A&M. Fitz did by himself, by the way. And then you just got smoked, by Alabama. Alabama treated that as a scrimmage. They did. They worked on. I mean, if you watch the game, and I know you guys were. I think Jackson was sleeping, but you were traveling.
I watched the first quarter.
Bama was just working on their passing game. I disagree with Chase. I mean, Jalen Hurts has proven, as Brad Edwards has said, Hurts has proven that he's struggled at times throwing the football, and he is very fortunate that he's that's the best defense in college football, and he is surrounded by ridiculous talent. And so he can make mistakes. He can be inaccurate at times. He can fumble the football. He can throw a pick against LSU, fumble it, but it doesn't matter. You can't score on him right now. I mean, they started getting everything together in October. Ole Miss put up some yards and points. Outside of that, who's tested them? Can you remember anybody? I mean, I'm looking through here. Did I miss a game?
Crickets here. I don't think anyone's tested them.
Yeah. A&M played with them into the third quarter with a healthy Trevor Knight.
Then what happened?
And then I guess they went up 14-13, and then Bama scored 3 times in a row.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
We were talking about it earlier. Bama doesn't really have to. They can treat Auburn as a scrimmage.
They can.
Because that game does not matter.
Is the West locked up? Is it over?
Yeah, I mean, it's officially locked up.
Done.
It's official.
Done. Bama's in Atlanta, and they'll smoke Tennessee. Florida will lose this weekend to LSU, unless LSU decides to forget how to play football. You would think that LSU will take care of business, even if it's an ugly game, with Florida's defense. And so Florida then loses the East to Tennessee, correct? Yes. Unless Tennessee decides that they want to lose to Missouri or at Vandy, which at this point in college football this year, I wouldn't put it past any teams to do things that we don't expect them to do after Clemson lost, after Michigan lost, after Auburn lost to a Georgia team on the road. By the way, as good as Shea Patterson was Saturday night, you can tell that things are coming together for Jacob Eason. We have 3 true freshmen in the league. Actually, if you want to say the South Carolina, he doesn't have the same players around him that Shea and Hurts have, and even Jacob. But Jacob Eason, Shea Patterson, Jalen Hurts, and the freshman at South Carolina. We have some good young QBs. So for the national guys who want to go all doom and gloom on the SEC, Shea Patterson, Jalen Hurts, Jacob Eason. Who's the South Carolina guy, guys? That they ripped the shirt off? I mean, we've had 2 rip the shirt off. If I'm Shea Patterson, I don't wear a shirt all week. I just continue. I'm walking around campus without a shirt on. Just proof that they ripped the shirt off of me, and I was shirtless Shea from the beginning. We knew he was going to play. It was just circumstances that drove his playing time. And what happened to that Ole Miss defensive line? Is it simply Fadal Brown getting healthy? But I mean,
I think that's a big part of it.
All of a sudden, you go from people are shredding you.
I don't want to say that. I mean, Youngblood dislocated his ankle last week, but I mean, he was limited in what he could do physically,
right?
From that standpoint, that probably allowed Ole Miss to get more athletic on one side of the defensive end spot without Youngblood, because Victor Evans basically plays instead of him, and he's probably not as sound as Youngblood was, but he's more athletic than Youngblood.
Benito Jones was on 2 true fresh. Well, there were several. A.J. Brown was good, but Benito Jones on the defensive line and Shea Patterson and Greg Little on the offensive side of the football, along with A.J. Brown. That's up to 4, and there were more true freshmen that had a major impact in the Ole Miss win over A&M. We'll take a break. We're live in the Bank Plus studio. Out of Bounds, ESPN Radio. I would like to hear from you. What do you think about the Kevin Sumlin-Mark Richt comparison? And who is the 3rd best team in the Southeastern Conference this year?